caught me at the Range Cafe for this week's Firearms Friday. This week I wanted to talk about something a lot of people don't think about. And even though they're legal, they may not necessarily be affordable for you. But what is interesting is here at Wilshire Gun, there is a Class 3 firearms dealer known as Cold Hand Arms and the Oklahoma Machine Gun Club, all based here. You can not only rent machine guns, but with the proper wrangling and the proper legal work, you can actually own them. But today I wanted to start with something else that is covered under that license, and that is suppressors.
I'm the Director of Business Development for Oklahoma Machine Guns and Cold Hand Arms.
I mentioned suppressors. Now, it's legal to own a suppressor?
Absolutely, completely. It's never been illegal. They've been regulated since 1934 with the passage of the National Firearms Act, where they've basically been applied as a special category of weapon that requires federal oversight and some paperwork and a $200 tax stamp to own the item.
Is that a one-time or is that each year?
That's a one-time tax, just like any other item, whether it's a transferable machine gun, a destructive device like a grenade launcher you see down here in the case, or an AOW like a pen gun or a cane gun. All of those categories are regulated under the National Firearms Act.
Ty, these are some of the suppressors, and I wanted you to tell us a little bit about them and then how you can get a suppressor put on your particular handgun or rifle if you like. In the vernacular, you call them cans.
Cans, yeah.
Okay, what do we have here?
Well, first off, just a suppressor really is nothing more than a muffler. The reality is all that's going on inside this thing is it goes in and it is threaded and adapted onto the barrel of the weapon. As the bullet exits and leaves through, the majority of the boom you hear when you're firing a weapon is that the remaining gases and propellant that's forcing behind the bullet, as it's expanding in the air, just like a clap of thunder after lightning, it creates that boom and sound. What's happening is as that bullet's traveling through that suppressor, those hot gases are beginning to have room to expand within the chambers that are built from the baffles inside of the system in order to allow those gases to cool, so when they exit, they go and they do not have the force essentially to go and create the noise that you hear. They're not like the movies. It's not like it's not something that you're going to take and hear in the movie theaters, but it does take that loud crack and boom out of it, and we'll tell you that we'll show that later when we're out on the range. Not every gun can be fitted with a suppressor. You have to be able to accept or have what we call a threaded extended barrel for your suppressor. Most modern handguns made from any one of the major manufacturers have the ability to accept and adapt a threaded barrel, whether it's from the factory itself. They make, Sig Sauer makes, this is a factory Sig Sauer threaded barrel, or you can go and take and get aftermarket barrels. There are numerous manufacturers, KKM Precision, Barstow, Lone Wolf Distributors, and then even some of the suppressor manufacturers themselves, whether it's Advanced Armament Corporation or Silencer Co., they make threaded barrel options now in many of the most popular calibers. In this case right in here, we're just going to take the can and match up the threading. If you have a European style barrel, most of those require what we call a left-hand twist.
Oh yeah, because they do everything backwards.
They do everything backwards. They love that. So most of the time in a 45 caliber, it'll be what we call a 16x1 left-hand twist.
Does that add to the weight of the gun? Does it make it harder to aim?
It actually makes it very easy actually to aim, in my opinion. My personal choice is that it actually does make it easier to shoot. The added weight helps with muzzle flip and keeps the weapon more controlled. Out will come your piston wrapped around a spring.
I see that, yeah.
The pistons are the adaptable piece, is you can get them in many different thread pitches to be able to put them on a multitude of different weapons with threaded barrels.
I see. So conceivably, you could get one suppressor for a 9, a 45 ACP, 40 caliber, etc.
Absolutely. The one limiter that you have is essentially that hole has to, the bullet has to be smaller than the hole that it's
Can't go
coming
wider than
out.
that, yeah. And there is a clearance right now on the suppressors. Now, I can't wait to get into the range and see what this thing sounds like. Now with the suppressor. Wow. That is exactly as you described it. The bullet hitting the backstop made more noise than what was coming out of the barrel.
And largely what you heard was the action moving on the slide as
thwap,
it snapped
thwap,
back and
thwap.
forward.
Yeah. That's what you're.
Right there,
Yeah.
you're hearing that thwap. If you were going and just taking listening, you're going to go and take and you're going to hear the air rushing out of it like a large caliber air gun. And then you're going to hear, of course, inside, it's slapping off of that backstop.
Here we go. Let's give it a try. Headshots. Whoa, I jerked like a son of a gun. It took a little getting used to because I was anticipating the kick, which didn't come. And it's great to, I mean, it sounds like my pellet gun when I was a kid.
Yep. They like I said, hearing loss is cumulative, especially as you get older. You know, and especially if you're young, when you still have some of that acute hearing that hasn't lost with age, suppressors save it and it lasts longer. It's a great option.
It really is, and what took getting used to though is anticipating not having that coming back at you.
Absolutely.
But the action was completely different. It was coming this way at you.
Yep, and it helps with recoil. Absolutely.
Yeah.